Hi, my name is Tristan Luke Wiley, and today I've got the wonderful opportunity to invite you in. I've got this privilege given to me by David Johns. David, thank you so much for the wonderful work that you do for men that look like me, men that look like you, and all marginalized individuals who represent within our community. Inviting in, it's such an interesting concept. I think it's one that we don't really give the space to often, which is why this is such a good opportunity. For myself, I was forced out, and through a lot of work, I've had the opportunity to invite my friends and family into my life. I began this understanding of my sexuality at a very young age. At the age of 18, I was raped. And having survived that, it robbed me of innocence. It took the kid out of me and made me a man in seconds. Having to understand how I wanted to present in the world at 18 years old was something that I thought was crazy when it happened to me. When I now had to reconcile between who I was as a human being and the painful reality of what I had experienced. I didn't know what that road looked like, but I knew that I needed my family there for me and with me. At the time, I was enlisted in the military, and the individual that raped me was also in the military at the time. In the processing of everything, it became public knowledge. And it became a rumor on a military base at 18 years old. It was a very hard reality. I spent the past 10 years from that moment at 18, trying to navigate that pain, that struggle. How do I communicate where I am? How do I get back to where I needed to be? There was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of ignorance surrounding me being a man and being raped. As I went through therapy, as I would sit through group sessions, or as I was trying to process these things with family, I was often asked, how do I get in the position to get raped? How do you place yourself in the position to be raped? I didn't have a response for that. I didn't know that there was a position that I could place myself in. I was 18 years old. So having to navigate all of that in that place, in that raw place, didn't really create an environment for me to want to let people in, because people had kicked down my door. They had already forced themselves in. There was a lot of judgment, there was a lot of ridicule, and there was a lot of very stern and raw accountability to where I was. At the age of 28, some 10 years after, I reached the pinnacle of my struggle, my insecurities, my lack of self-esteem, my loss of image, my loss of identity, and I attempted suicide. So I failed at this, obviously, and it's not difficult for me to talk about, but when I do go to share it, I'm oftentimes overwhelmed with gratitude for not having been successful. So oftentimes I'll go to share the stories, and I'll be reminded that had I been successful in giving in to the expectations of others and holding myself accountable to someone else's dream for me, then I would never have been able to hear my nephew laugh. I'd never be able to hear the joy and the mystery that my niece feels when she pulls on my beard. There are many things that I've been able to experience in surviving my suicide attempt that has really just held me accountable to living. It's made life real, simple, and very precious. I'm often reminded of this tremendous opportunity that I have, having had survived a rape and a suicide, having developed the confidence to own that narrative of, yeah, that happened. Having the grace and the patience to just do the work and to be honest with the progress. I'm most grateful for that because I think about the young man Nigel Shelby, who at 15 years old had to wrestle with who he was and who others wanted him to be or expected him to be. He was surrounded by the love of his mother, and the people that loved and cared for him loved him deeply. But oftentimes, it's not enough. Because our family loves us in a way that our family loves us. And we have to go and deal in a world with people who don't come from that, oftentimes. And so life can be cruel, particularly cruel, when you're a young Black gay man. Because you're marginalized across the board. You're taught in school to defend what you look like long before you're taught to celebrate what you look like. This is what the culture of Americans sustains for us as Black men, for men that look like me, men that had no choosing of their skin color. This is what I've got to work with. So I have to celebrate this. This is me. And one of the biggest lessons that I think it's so important to learn as Black men, that I've had to learn as a Black gay man, is to own yourself, to know who you are, to be firm and unrelenting on how you will present in the world, because that way you can share yourself with other people. You can invite them into who you are and to what you believe and share in those experiences. And they can take nothing away from you because you've prepared what's for them. It's a beautiful space. It's so important that if you've been invited in to that space by someone, that you understand that that's trust. And it takes a very courageous person to invite you in. Because what that person is saying is, I've made a choice to reveal myself. I've made a choice to welcome you to who I am. The choice is then yours to reject that or to accept it for you. But for the other person, they must remain who they are in your absence. So I caution you, when you think of young men like Nigel Shelby and many other youth every day that look like me with this Black skin, and others who don't, who wrestle with how our babies are dying. Our babies are dying. And they're dying because they're being forced to make decisions that they don't even understand. And then being penalized for living their truth at 11, 12, 15 years old. I know what that space feels like. I know what the pressure and the weight builds to become. The difference between young Nigel Shelby and myself is I was given a second chance. I was given an opportunity to deal, an opportunity to work through my struggles, my problems. I was given the space to develop my voice, and because I have this voice, it is my honor, it is my privilege, and my life's work to invite you into the lessons learned from a broken man that has gained his wings. The lessons learned from a young black boy who was taught there was something wrong with him, who became a man that accepts what he is and celebrates what he is in a way that's authentic to me. I think about the youth who we've lost tragically, those who are in pursuit of their identity and trying to communicate what that looks like socially for them. I think about them and I wonder, while we mourn the tragic way in which they've left this earth thinking that something is wrong with them, at 34 years old, as a black gay man, I don't know what community we would have welcomed them to. Because I can tell you there are still biases, there are still prejudices, and there is still racism, even in my marginalized community of a gay man. I am still a black man to everyone that does not look like me. And whatever that represents for that person, I'm held to that narrative. So, while it pains me on levels unspeakable to lose our precious black babies, all of our babies, the reality of what we offer them pains me the more. Because what do we give them? What hope have we instilled them to? I am still bullied. So, where is our reality? Where is our reality? We must take our own account to what we contribute to society. We must be accountable with how we deal with human lives and just how precious our babies are. We shouldn't put the pressures on them, parents, family, friends, classmates, other youth, to be who we don't have the courage to be. You know, one of the adages that I've developed in my psyche to kind of live by, if you will, is a spiritual man is a mirror, not a stone. What that means is I invite you in not to judge you, not to be judged, but to learn of you as I share of me. So, again, thank you for the opportunity to be able to share my truth. And if I can leave you with anything, just know, for anyone who is struggling with who they are and what that means for people in their life, don't. Retire to the defense of your truth, understanding that you don't have to defend it. People may want you to. People may tell you that there's something wrong with you and that you can be better or you should be different. But the universe celebrates you, and so do I. So for what it's worth, I think you're magic. I really want you to see that. And I want you to see that you're complete and beautiful the way that you are. Allow yourself to enter into the journey of life and don't see it as a race, don't see it as a competition, but see it as your experience and share that with us. But don't compare yourself because you're uniquely you. You're uniquely you. And we celebrate that. I celebrate that. So thank you, David Johns, for the wonderful work that you do and the opportunity to invite others in. So I hope it helps. Bye. Thanks again. My name is Tristan Luke.